Okay, the lighting is a little harsh right now, so we're going to do this in the back of the pickup truck. Down there behind me is a racetrack, an RC racetrack that I'm working on, so it'll be an upcoming video. For now, I still need to till the soil, kind of loosen that up and get rid of all the grass, so it's going to be a while. I bought about 500 feet length of track, so it's going to be quite long. It's going to take some time, so we'll do that video way later after that's done. Today I want to do a video on comparing the Hospeed versus the recently reviewed Haiboxing. And so these are both budget vehicles. We're looking at a car at the lowest. You can get this for about $47 up to maybe 65-ish. And this Haiboxing you can get for about 75 to about 90. So the price ranges quite a bit depending on where you get these from, whether you buy from the United States or from Banggood or AliExpress, and the time of the year. During the Black Fridays, obviously you'll have the best deals, where this was $47. So we're going to talk about which one to get and which one's for you. So these are both very, very good, but for vastly different reasons. This car, the Haiboxing, I've always mentioned that it's good for fathers and sons if you're looking to buy one vehicle to share. And if you end up liking and you buy a second one, then that's great. This car is for if you're going to give it to your kid and you're not going to pay any attention to them. You just want to throw it at them and let them run it into the ground. This one is super, super durable. And so I have a video of where I threw this like a football as hard as I could. I'm not a football player, more of a ping pong kind of guy, so my scrawny little body can't really throw this that far. But as far as I could, this thing landed, and one of the turnbuckles did come loose, or tie rods rather, and I just popped it back in. Everything was good. So this thing is super durable. This can run into curbs like crazy. I could probably throw it off the roof over there across my way, and it would do just fine. So durability wise, this thing, I don't think anything can beat it. As far as this, it's proven to be fairly durable too. But I'm not as risky with it as I am with this guy, only because the price was under $50 at the time that I bought the Hospeed. So with the advantage of buying something that's cheaper, a lot cheaper, is you just don't care. And in that sense, it can be a lot more fun because you're doing things you normally wouldn't ever do. If you're a little bit more daring, I guess you could do the same things with this guy. This I would consider as, people consider this as hobby grade because it does have replacement parts that you can purchase. However, when you take it apart, it's not something you can really modify or swap out because there is a plastic cover covering the motor and covering the ESC and receiver to protect it. And so that durability is there because it has that cover, but it also makes it so that the molding of that makes it so that you can't swap parts. Not easily. I mean, definitely not easily as you would a hobby grade vehicle. So this what I would consider hobby grade. This is what I consider a high-end, super high-end toy grade. So you can buy parts for it, but it's not something you're necessarily gonna buy you're not gonna buy to upgrade at all. This is just as is. You're not gonna get oil-filled shocks. You're not gonna get new wheels. You're just gonna drive it as is. So if you're not into modifying and it's literally just to give to a child, I'd say maybe 9 or 10 or under, this is just, nothing beats it. It's so durable. This guy is going to be more for people who are going to modify cars or who are interested in suspension or interested in maybe other components, or maybe you're going to change your receiver, something like that. I did convert a recent one, or I tried to convert the truggy version to brushless, but I personally was not able to find a pinion gear to match the brushless motor I used. Not to say that you wouldn't be able to find one or there aren't any others out there. There are a few people who have converted this to brushless, but that's not really a project most people who are going to buy budget vehicles are going to do because you're going to end up spending more money on it, and the chassis still has its limitations. So again, this is going to be a vehicle that you're just going to give to someone, let them play with it. You don't really need to monitor them. You don't need to be worried about them. You're not going to be upgrading in any way. This one you can upgrade, and it has the dual speed, so it has a slow speed and a normal speed. Notice I didn't say fast. It's slow and normal, which is in the teens. I'll write down the top speed below, but it's something that I recorded off the truggy version. This one is a lot louder. So this one is I wouldn't say annoyingly loud, but you're not going to avoid hearing the sound. This one is quieter by a long stretch. So if sound matters to you for some reason, this one is 10 times quieter than this guy. This one's really loud. They both surprisingly go over grass, low cut grass, but grass nonetheless. The scale of the car itself as a 16th and 18th scale generally does not perform well in grass, only literally because of the size of the wheels versus the length of grass. But for short grass, they both actually do fairly well. So I was surprised that they both can handle that. This one, maybe it's the volume that makes it seem more powerful. I was less surprised that that would go through grass versus this guy. This is just like super quiet, but they both perform fairly well in grass and other terrain. So we're going to compare the size difference so you understand the difference, but this is a 16 scale and this is an 18 scale. So they're very, very similar. I wouldn't even pick based on that difference. To me, they're fairly identical. So again, 16 scale, 18 scale, and what that means relative to something else, this is an Arrma Big Rock. This is an oversized 10 scale. So it's close to an 8 scale, but they consider it a 10 scale. This was actually a birthday present from myself to myself recently, and so we're going to compare the sizes just so you can kind of get an idea of how small this really is or how big it is. So here we go. So the height of the car is basically the size of the wheel of the 10 scale. So this is pretty small. The advantage of the small cars is I actually put both of these with their transmitters and batteries for all three vehicles in a backpack. And so that way when the kids are running around, they're at the playground or doing something aside from RC cars, then I can pack it in a bag and not have to worry about it, and I can watch them or hold their hand or whatever I need to do. And just not have so many things fussing around, because sometimes as a dad we just have so many things we wish we had more hands and legs to do things with. So these two do fit in a backpack like this. Batteries, pack of batteries on the bottom, transmitters just stuck on the back, again in a backpack, and it works out very, very well. This car actually came with 2 sets of decals, and so the other decals I used for these headlights, and then I had some stickers in the back, and then rear lights, and just some stickers. But there's nothing modified about this, and I wouldn't be modifying it either. And this one, again, can be modified, and is something for people who want to tweak things with. Oh, also, the cool thing is these come with headlights. To put headlights on there would take quite a bit of work. It's not something you would, that's not designed, again, not to be modified at all. You just use it out of the box as is, and don't expect anything else. This one has headlights, which is nice. It's just kind of a cool feature or added benefit of this. So this is true hobby grade. We're gonna take the body shells off too for a little comparison. So this one is not gonna be of any surprise to you. Looks like a typical configuration. This one here I mentioned was high-end toy grade. So this has this cover on it, and so this protects all the components inside, the motor, the receiver, the receiver's here, and it's actually an ESC in one. So this is not something you're going to necessarily want to take apart or replace or anything, because everything would have to fit in here snugly if you're going to remain to use the cap here. Whereas this one is going to be the more typical configuration. You have your brushed motor, you have your ESC receiver in one, and then your battery tray. For this one, you're going to actually have the battery in the bottom. I talk about that in detail in my review of this Hospeed car, and you can take a look at that if you're interested in more detail about that. But in comparison, that's how the two look like under the body. I'm also noticing the rigidness of the bumpers. So with this one, it's quite rigid. It takes quite some pressure to move it. Whereas for this one, there's a lot of give, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. When there's give, it does absorb impact quite a bit, and the fact that there's more give means that it's actually not going to snap very easily. So these can bend all the way, and there's still no snapping. So comparing the two, I think it just depends on how involved you want to be in the RC hobby with your child. No involvement, you can be involved in this. Obviously, you don't have to. You can let them play with this on their own as well. Again, super durable. I would throw this off a roof and not hesitate that it would still keep working. This one, possibly, but just, maybe I like it more, or maybe just because it costs more than this guy, so I'd be a little bit more hesitant on this, but this one for sure, it's super durable. So again, hopefully that helped you decide whether to go for a Haiboxing product or a Hospeed. And I'll put the model numbers below in the description, and then you take a look at that. If you have any questions, feel free to leave comments below, and I'll get back to you. All right, take care. We'll see you next time. Bye. If you stayed through the video this long, you deserve a little sneak peek at the track. So this is 500 feet of track divider, and I'm actually looking to till the rest of the grass so that it looks like this, and actually dig that up until it's more soil, and then the plan is to compact that so that grass will be less likely to grow, and we can actually race some 16th and 18th scale cars here. But this track is actually designed for 10th scale, but can be used with smaller cars. We just need to make sure that we mow off all the grass, or I need to mow off all the grass, and compact the soil beneath.